Hey there, ho there, it's Jeff Diamond with my second Wrestlemania Good, Bad, and Ugly video. We left off at Wrestlemania 8, so here we go. Alright, let's go to Wrestlemania number 9. And in Wrestlemania number 9, held at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll talk about Las Vegas a little more in the segment, but the good was Hulk Hogan beating Yokozuna at WrestleMania. Of course, the backstory was, Bret Hart and Yokozuna were going for the WWE title. And 93 was the first time ever, and I mean ever, that the Royal Rumble winner got a title shot. And of course, back in those days, before 2003, there was only one title to go for, the WWE title. The World Heavyweight title was WCW. Anyway. So anyway, Yokozuna beat Bret Hart thanks to Mr. Fuji throwing salt in Bret's eyes while he was doing the sharpshooter. And of course, Hulk Hogan comes in to save Bret Hart's life and all that. But in a promo, after Hulk and Bruce the Barber Beefcake lost the tag team title opportunity to Money Inc., which was DiBiase and Shyster, he wanted to face the winner of the match between Yokozuna and Bret Hart, even if it was Bret Hart. So anyway, and of course the storyline was that Hulk was going to end up losing to Bret Hart for the title, or something like that. Anyway, Bret Hart lost Yokozuna. Of course, Hulk helped him, but Mr. Fuji, who remembered the promise Hulk made, actually decided to give Hulk his title opportunity. So anyway, Hulk decides to take it. Mr. Fuji tries to throw the salt in Hogan's eyes again. I don't know why the ref didn't just stop the fight when Fuji had the salt in his face. But anyway, he didn't want it to end on disqualification. And of course, the salt went right into Yokozuna's eyes instead of Hulk. And Hulk beat him in 21 seconds, they decreed. Which made Yokozuna one of the shortest reigned champions of all time. But he had the title for like 3 minutes because, of course, the fight didn't happen immediately after Yoko beat Bret. The bad side of WrestleMania 9 was you could say that the tag team match between Money Inc. and the Mega Maniacs was huge because Hulk used a foreign weapon to defeat Money Inc. Of course, he didn't win the title. But anyway, Giant Gonzalez against Undertaker, and Giant Gonzalez seemed to be the big threat to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania years before whoever else. And then, of course, Giant Gonzalez gets himself disqualified by using chloroform on the Undertaker. So anyway, or the Undertaker comes back later on and beats the shit out of Gonzalez. And the ugly was, of course, the togas of the Wrestlemanias in Las Vegas, because Las Vegas, like, it was a good concept having it outdoors and all that, but people were like, the pomp and circumstance of Las Vegas didn't really clue in, and it didn't really have a certain theme to it. WrestleMania never did, and I don't think they usually do anyway. Next is WrestleMania 10 from MSG in New York. The good was Bret Hart's title win over Yokozuna. To thoroughly understand the championship implications and all that between WrestleMania 9 and 10, I'm going to go to the bad side of the ledger and go with, and the bad side was Lex Luger's disqualification. Now I know, but also I know Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon should be on the good side, but they're honorable mention. Lex Luger's disqualification against Yokozuna. Of course, what happened was that Bret and Lex ended up tied in WrestleMania 94. It was not planned, actually. I don't know who was planned to win that match. But anyway, they had a coin flip instead of an actual match between Bret and Luger to decide who gets the number one title shot. They decided to have a coin flip. So anyway, Bret lost the coin flip, which meant he had to fight Owen Hart early, to open WrestleMania, and of course Owen beat Bret, which was strange. If Luger had lost the toss, he would have faced Crush, and, well, of course, he would have been in the last match against whoever won between Bret and Yoko. So anyway, Lex Luger, his disqualification because he put his hands on Mr. Perfect, even though Mr. Perfect should have kept his eye on the ring instead of the managers who were laid out in the ring. Should have just counted the pin. Now, years ago, I found out in WrestleMania 10 that Lex Luger had actually hurt his chances of getting the WWE belt by actually telling some kind of newscriber that he was going to win the title because there were pictures going around that Lex was going to have the title around his waist. And of course, Vince found out, and Vince made Lex Luger lose to Yokozuna as a consequence, or even lose to Bret Hart as a consequence. But anyway, so anyway, Luger's DQ, and the ugly was Howard Finkel's hair. Like, he had this rug on top of his head, and I didn't like it for some reason. Anyway, WrestleMania 11, I'm going to, for the benefit of my doubt, well, WrestleMania 11 was in Hartford. I'm going to, for the benefit of my doubt, go from ugly to good. The ugly was worst WrestleMania ever, and a lot of fans say WrestleMania 11 just didn't have the star power and all that. Plus, of course, Shawn Michaels was supposed to be led down the ring by Pamela Anderson, but there was a spat, and he went with Jenny McCarthy. And if you know my personal opinion of Jenny McCarthy, you'll understand why I really don't like her at all. Let's just leave it at that before I make an ass of myself. The bad was Bam Bam and LT. I mean, it was a decent premise. A wrestler and a pro football player, or a retired pro football player at that, were going to wrestle in a ring. And of course, LT beat Bam Bam. It should have been Bam Bam over LT. That would have made it much more for the wrestling fan. And the good was America the Beautiful. Now, I say that because, well, the worst WrestleMania ever, because the performer who did WrestleMania 11, if you watch it on WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99 in the States or $11.99 in Canada, was performed by a Special Olympian. The fact of the matter is that Fishbone, a band from California, was supposed to do America the Beautiful, but they couldn't do it for some odd reason. So they had a Special Olympian do it, and her rendition was pretty amazing. I mean, one of the best moments of WrestleMania 11. And of course, being someone with a disability, it's easy for me to make that judgment. I don't really make a lot of biases towards my lists. Anyway, WrestleMania 12 in Anaheim, California. The good was the Iron Man match between HBK and Shawn Michaels. HBK and Shawn Michaels. I've heard that before. HBK and Bret Hart for 60 minutes. For the title, of course, Bret Hart had the title at the moment. A lot of people wanted to see Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in a title match, but of course Shawn had some issues with losing matches and all that, and even being in the fight with some Marines in Syracuse, which was actually kind of strange. He ended up losing the IC title because of that, and Dean Douglas had it, but then Razor Ramon stole that. So anyway, so it was a good match, and ended up at 0-0, which should have given the title back to Bret Hart because it was a tie. But Gorilla Monsoon decided to make it a sudden death period, and Shawn Michaels, after a few minutes, won that belt. The bad was Ultimate Warrior coming back. Now, the bad, of course, is not the best or not the worst moment. It's kind of in the middle. Ultimate Warrior beat against Triple H, of course, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, as he was known as well, the spoiled Greenwich brat. So anyway, Ultimate Warrior comes back, and if you remember watching WrestleMania 12, Jerry the King Lawler thought he was 400 pounds and bald, but of course Ultimate Warrior came back in good shape. And Ultimate Warrior actually ended up being Triple H, although personally I wanted to see Triple H beat Warrior, because Ultimate Warrior, I don't know why he came back after 4 years, or 3.5 years away from the ring, and Triple H was a newcomer. Now, this was a couple months before the Click incident, the curtain call at Madison Square Garden. So if you're thinking, oh, Triple H got punished by losing this match because of the Click, when the Click were in Madison Square Garden and all that. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because this was in March of 1996, before that ever happened. And of course, Triple H was slated to win King of the Ring in 96 before Stone Cold came in, before he was punished and all that. So anyway, so Ultimate Warrior wins. Triple H pedigrees Ultimate Warrior, and it's like, it's over, but Ultimate Warrior didn't sell it. I mean, I wanted to see Triple H win. Nothing against Ultimate Warrior. And of course, Ultimate Warrior had some issues, and after a few months in the WWE, including a match with Goldust and Jerry the King Lawler, he disappeared again. and WWE terminated his contract. Okay, and then the ugly side of WrestleMania 12 was the backlot match between Piper and Goldust. But also let it be said that there was only 6 WrestleMania matches because of the 60-minute Iron Man match. So there wasn't too many good matches that year. So the backlot match, it was great, and then of course we had updates and all that, including the Bronco chase. Of course, Roddy Piper gets in and drives a familiar-looking vehicle, and of course the LA police chase after him, or so it seems. So anyway, that was kind of crappy. But let it be known that Piper was actually the WWE president when Grin Le Mans recovered after being Vader bombed by Vader. WrestleMania 13. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Actually, there wasn't really a lot of 50-50 type matches. I know the good was Stone Cold against Bret Hart, even though, of course, Bret Hart lost. That was a big turning point in WWE because that actually, it was a double turn because Bret Hart now became this whiny crybaby heel, and Stone Cold was a face or a good guy. For the first time in his career, Stone Cold, of course, won King Ring 96. He beat up on Yokozuna at SummerSlam, although Yokozuna's weight actually cost him the match. And Stone Cold won the Royal Rumble, won in quotation marks, because of the controversy that the refs didn't see him being eliminated by Bret Hart because they were paying attention to Terry Funk and Mick Foley actually having a fight outside the ring. So anyway, Stone Cold didn't quit. But anyway, speaking of Bret Hart, that was the ugly. I couldn't find anything that could be in the middle of Stone Cold and Bret interfered in the title match between Undertaker and Psycho Sid. And of course, his whining and complaining and all that. I kind of defended Bret Hart on that, but after seeing what happened to Bret Hart now, with his whining and complaining, and also his departure from the WWE in 97, I mean, I kind of figured that Vince knew what he was doing with the Montreal Screwjob. Although that was wrong. I mean, Bret Hart, he could have beaten Shawn Michaels, and then he could have just surrendered the belt in the next show in Cornwall, Ontario. So, anyway. WrestleMania 14, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, WrestleMania 13 was in Chicago at the Horizon in Rosemount. 14 was in Boston's Fleet Center, as it was known. Now it's the TD Garden. The good was, of course, Stone Cold winning the title over Shawn Michaels. Now, it was kind of set in stone because Shawn Michaels suffered a back injury hitting Undertaker's casket in the casket match at the Royal Rumble of 98 for the WWE title. So basically, Shawn couldn't wrestle with his bad back. So anyway, Stone Cold decides to... So anyway, of course, Stone Cold, we all know he's going to win, but Mike Tyson, who was in Special Enforcer, well, he would have been the guest referee in the match, but of course, Stone Cold ruined Vince's well-laid plans. Of course, Shawn had to lose, obviously, and Mike Tyson countered him. I figured Vince was going to take offense to Mike Tyson's double-crossing DX and all that. Rumors were circulating, too, that Bret Hart Shawn Michaels, of course, had his personal issues with people, and somebody at a WrestleMania workout in Boston a couple of days before the event threw a battery at Shawn Michaels' head, and of course Shawn Michaels left the ring. So yeah. The bad was the tag team turmoil, like all these tag teams, and that whoever won the tag team tournament match would actually get a title shot at WrestleMania 14. So anyway, LOD came back in and won a title shot, which they didn't cash in on, obviously. Also, there was the tag team match between Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack versus the New Age Outlaws, and of course in a dumpster match. That was kind of brutal too. And in fact, the New Age Outlaws got the titles back the next night, if memory serves me correctly. And the ugly was Pete Rose at WrestleMania 14, especially when he was insulting Boston. I mean, he played for the 75 Cincinnati Reds when they beat Boston in that year's World Series. Of course, he made fun of Boston not getting into the World Series at all. Of course, makes fun of Bill Buckner and of course says something about Bucky Dent. And if you're a Boston Red Sox fan, you'll obviously know what that is. So basically, that's why. And of course, Kane comes out. Well, Rose was supposed to be a guest ring announcer, and then Kane comes out and tombstones Pete Rose. It wouldn't be the first time. Yeah. And then Pete Rose got himself tombstone twice more in WrestleMania 15 and 16. WrestleMania 15, speaking of, was held in Philadelphia at the First Union Center. There wasn't anything good about the that WrestleMania at all. I mean, it was pretty much non-appealing. I mean, even the Rock Stone Cold matchup kind of had a lot of twists and turns and all that. I didn't find that interesting. The bad was when Xbox got double-crossed by DX, of course, Triple H in China, and all that. And the ugly was, of course, if you remember everything, was the Brawl for All. That WWE decided to do this tournament throughout late 1998 to determine some kind of champion. It was actually revealed that the Brawl for All was actually a vehicle for Dr. Death Steve Williams in the WWE, but of course he suffered a legit injury, and of course a lot of people suffered legit injuries. And Billy Gunn was actually the winner, and he ended up facing Butterbean at the Brawl for All thing. Of course, that marked the end of Gorilla Monsoon's tenure at WWE. That was the last time he was in a WWE arena before dying in late '99. Well, of course, Butterbean made short work of Gunn, and that was just pathetic how they put this spectacle on, and it ended up being like 30 seconds. WrestleMania 16 was in Anaheim, just 4 years after WrestleMania 12. The good was the Fatal 4-Way with The Rock, Big Show, Big Foley, and Triple H fighting for the WWE title. Of course, Stone Cold was legitimately injured at that time, so he wasn't part of that WrestleMania, which was strange. But anyway, a different McMahon was in each corner. Linda was in Mick Foley's corner, Shane was in Big Show's corner, Steph was in Triple H's corner, and Vince was in The Rock's corner. But Vince double-crossed The Rock and actually made Triple H the winner. But The Rock got revenge on the McMahon family. The bad, which it should have been, I should have just made it an honorable mention for good. WrestleMania 16 was the TLC tag team match. Was the tag team tables and ladders match between the Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian. Of course, Edge and Christian won that match. That did introduce TLC, but anyway, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find two things steamy terrible. And the ugly of WrestleMania 16 was the hardcore title match and a 15-minute time limit, which the title changed too many times for my liking. And of course, the ending was controversial because Crash Holly thought he won the hardcore title. Now, there was like 10 seconds left. Hardcore Holly comes in and smashes a candy dish, which ended up being Jim Ross's candy dish, and he actually slammed it on Crash and tried to pin him for 1, 2, 3. But Crash, well, they made a 2 count, but Hardcore Holly was given the win, so that was kind of a botched finish. So anyway, that's it for WrestleMania 9 to 16. The next video will be starting at WrestleMania 17 in Houston. We'll see what happens. I'm Jeff Diamond. There's still a few more to go.